Major Antone Aguon from the Department of Corrections. Good morning, Major.
Good morning, Chris.
So how are things going over there at DOC?
We're doing good.
Everybody back to work?
Most of them are back to work. I have two people, two officers, two recruits still pending test results.
How many total have been tested?
And why so long? Why are you still waiting for the results, Major?
So far, 17.
17 have been tested?
Right.
Oh. How many are supposed to be tested?
Originally, when all this started, we had 41 recruits and 10 COs that were basically originally told to self-quarantine when this all began. After Public Health did their assessment and their investigation, they determined that 17 of them would be tested. The other 34 were given a 14-day quarantine. And out of that, we're now just waiting for 2. Everyone else has returned back to work.
Okay. What about preparations or anything you guys are doing to make sure that COVID is contained over at DOC? I know that the governor, I think it was during one of the press conferences, she was mentioning about finding, separate areas for pretrial arrestees, setting aside another area for potential isolation and quarantine. What's the status of those discussions?
Yes, we've identified, again, right now, what the process, of course, when a new arrestee comes in, they are screened medically. We do have a medical team. They are screened. They are provided a mask. We give them a mask. If someone does develop symptoms or shows symptoms, they would be quarantined away from the other population. We have a place in Agana that's for that. We also have a place in Manila, a unit that's been shut down for a while. We went in and cleaned it up and done some minor repairs. And that will be our quarantine unit. Now, if they do have COVID and they're determined to have it, then of course we'll be following the medical procedures outlined by Public Health. Mm-hmm. And more than likely they will not be confined in our facility if it is determined they do have COVID.
Mm-hmm. So what about PUIs? Do you have PUIs that are in the isolate?
As of now, no. I spoke to our nurse this morning, and as of now, no inmate has displayed any symptoms or made any, nor the officers have indicated to the medical staff that someone needs to be looked at.
What about last week?
For which one?
You said as of now, but what about last week?
Oh no. Okay, so I mean the current information is nobody. Okay. Nobody right now, including today when I just verified.
Okay. Major, I remember last time we spoke, you had said that there were discussions about re-implementing the incoming for the inmates. Sorry, I had a brain fart there, but someone was asking me to ask you over the weekend. Are we anywhere on that?
Well, Chris, we do have a plan together. We did put something together, although we're still holding off a little bit. Probably after next week, May, the original May 5th, give or take. So after that, we'll probably, again, evaluate the situation or what's going on in the community. And then the director will make his decision whether to allow it or not.
What about the masks, Major? I know you had said that the director had procured one way or another a bunch of masks and that those were going to be made available to the inmates and detainees. Have we gotten anywhere with that?
Yes, sir. We did distribute masks to all the inmates. All the inmates do have masks at this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys got it under control over there, or do you?
Well, yes, we are. I mean, again, we're doing our best to ensure that it stays out of the facility. Mm. So whatever measures we can take, we will implement just to ensure. And so far, it's been we've been holding strong.
Good for you. Glad to hear that, Major. We also wanted to catch up with you because it looks like the governor kind of tea-licked the AG's ear on this deal that was going down with the release of the pretrial release of the nonviolent suspects. And so the AG had called in, and he really just kind of, told us we don't understand. There's a whole spectrum of nonviolent to violent crimes that they're working on. But then when we asked the governor in the press conference, I mean, she clearly was like, oh, hell no, pretty much. I mean, Lieutenant Governor also was like, this is a stupid decision on the AG's part. But
then the AG said, well, we only made these decisions based on the guidance that you gave us and public health gave us. And so, all right, we're not going to do it anymore.
Right. So where are we now, Major, with that?
I mean, our daily booking is in the average of about four a day, which is still down from pre-COVID, and our releases about three to four also a day. We're still getting some releases from the AGs and from the courts, of course, and I think most of those releases, the charges are not as great. But again, DOC doesn't really necessarily play a role. We don't play a role in any of the releases. We just provide the paperwork and the documents, and the AGs and the courts make their decision on who would be out on bail or who would get a notice to appear. But our numbers for the most part right now are still pretty low as far as the incoming and the outgoing of prisoners.
So it's I'm sorry, there's some audio in the background. You said it's still the same. Whoever comes in, they're going out the same amount?
Well, we have a few. I mean, it just depends on their charges. It just depends on what the severity of their charges.
Yeah. Okay. So there really hasn't been a change.
No, I mean, maybe they're looking more at the charges and which one's getting released, but in general, the courts are releasing on conditional release and we do have a few that are given notice to appear, but in general, their charges are a lot less.
Okay. In general, Major, or maybe you can send us some of that info, because I know that the AG had, when he called in, he said that, hey, these are nonviolent property crimes where they throw hollow blocks into people's houses and threaten to kill them. It's nonviolent. But then there was also what was it, Bree? A felony family violence or something like that, 3rd degree.
Yeah.
There was some case, and so we're just curious because the AG said one thing, and then when we kind of went into the info, it was another thing. So are we really only releasing nonviolent offenders, or is it a judgment call like it was a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, well, I don't have all the charges in front of me for the past 2 weeks of who came in with what charges, but in general, we're getting about 4 and releasing 4. I mean, I can check at the numbers and then provide you some more information on it. I don't have all the
right on, Major. Appreciate
in front of me, and again, I don't see all the reports, and of course, we don't get police reports, and we don't see any of the facts behind any of the cases, really.
Right.
And so, yeah, we just release when they say release and hold them when they say hold them.
We had a comment here. How about incoming prisoners? Are they being tested, Major?
No, sir. We are not testing anybody at this time. When the prisoners do come in, they are medically screened for symptoms to include a temperature. They check their temperature. They are put in one side of they're issued a mask, and they're put on one side pending their magistrate hearing later that day or the next day. Again, most of them coming in have been getting released within 24 hours. And so there's no need. Now, if they develop symptoms, then again, we refer back to our medical staff, and our medical staff will make the determination on whether or not they have to be tested. DOC ourselves, we don't have to.
You don't have any test
but
kits, right?
the new expanded testing guidelines is that anybody and everybody that is experiencing COVID symptoms, they must get tested immediately. I don't think there was any kind of, but if you're inside DOC, you don't get tested. So.
No, but again, like I said earlier, no one has displayed any symptoms. So if no one's displayed symptoms, then obviously there's no test given right now.
Right. Did you guys put out maybe a Major, maybe announce it over the PA, like, hey, if you have loss of sense of taste or smell, or any of these, how do the inmates know that they're supposed to represent to you guys that they might have these symptoms, or are you guys telling them?
Yes, sir. I mean, even when they come in and their process, that's part of the process. They're informed.
Mm-hmm.
We also have posters throughout the facility. Officers are aware of it. I mean, it's in our briefing and on our daily
Okay.
briefings with the officers to just, again, be on the lookout.
Do you guys do similar to what TR does, where they do medical checks every day of all the inmates and detainees, or is it just you wait for people or the inmates to say I'm not feeling well?
I mean, no, the inmates, again, when they first are screened, there is a sick call if they're not feeling well. I don't believe the nurse will see all of them every day.
Okay.
Sometimes we only have 2 nurses on duty, so they won't be able to see every prisoner every day.
Mm-hmm. Or temperature checks, or
Again, if they develop anything, we do the temperature checks for our staff as they report for duty every day, but not all the prisoners every day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just thought I'd check.
Yeah, but again, if someone does say any kind of symptom, they of course will be referred to medical, and medical will handle it from there. But again, as of today, as I spoke to the nurse this morning, there is nobody that has come forth with any sort of symptoms, not from the inmate or the officer side.
Okay. That's good to know. Appreciate you checking in, Major. Is there anything else that you want to get out there? Because, we do have a lot of family members of inmates and detainees listening, and they're always putting stuff in the comments. So, we just really try to go back to the prison, at least on a weekly basis, to kind of give them that peace of mind, right? Because they don't have the visitation. They don't get to do the incoming. So what would your just message be to those people out there?
Again, we are holding strong. I think we've done a pretty good job to this point, trying to keep COVID-19 out of our facility. We will continue to do that. And again, the incoming, the director understands the importance of it. And we do have a plan together. We're just waiting for the right time. You don't want to jump too fast and we do something different from what we've been doing, and all of a sudden now we have people getting infected. Because then that will definitely stop incoming, and everything else would get a lot harder on how we do business in here. And so we're just doing our best to maintain it. And as soon as the time is right, the director will allow the incoming to resume.
I actually had another comment here, Major. Received a call from a DOC guard asking about the double pay received while in an emergency state. He can't seem to get an answer from the director's office about whether or not corrections officers qualify for this.
Well, I the double pay, none of us at this time has got paid any double time. That is,
What's your understanding of that, Major? I mean, because you've been around the block. You're a classified long service employee. Is that what your take of what the law says? Is that anybody who's working during an emergency like this one should be getting double pay? Because a lot of people are expecting it.
Well, my basic understanding of the rules and regulations is yes. Under the Department of Administration rules and regulations, there is something about hazard pay when it's declared an emergency. I mean, a double time. I know the senators just recently passed another bill that had to do with specialty pay, and also it mentioned double time pay in there. But again, that's my basic understanding. But I'm not the legal advisor, and I'm not the one who makes the final decision. So, like most employees, we're just waiting to find out whether or not that's going to happen or not. We don't know.
But you've gotten it in the past, though, right? Whenever there's been a public
give us an example, Major.
Emergency.
Well, again, on the emergency, generally typhoons.
Mm-hmm.
So when the typhoons come in and we go to condition 2, from that point forward, the officers are getting double time. Anyone that is on duty will get double time until condition 4 is announced.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't this one long condition 2 to you guys?
Yes, this is a typhoon without the damage, the damaging wind and the loss of power. But and I guess that's how some of us see it.
Yeah. So what are your guys saying, Major? Because I've heard this from people at the hospital. I've heard it from a bunch of people, but we just haven't really been able to nail down. Is it in black and white?
Well, again, we don't have anything final from the administration what's going to happen. But
all right, okay.
Of course, talking about someone's pay and the pay issues are always very sensitive.
Right.
And you know, I mean, again, I don't know all the specifics of what's going on behind the scenes in regards to payroll. I, like most, are just waiting to find out what direction will be given in regards to it.
But have they been expecting it, Major? Was there a point where that first
I
paycheck they were expecting to see it?
Yes, I think in general most officers are expecting it because of what the rules and regulations say and what our past experience has been when an emergency has been declared. But again, in regards to this, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what direction it takes us.
Maybe we'll check with the oversight. Have they sorted out who you guys' oversight? Is it still Senator Tolina, or has it gone back to Senator Pito?
As far as I know, it's still Senator Pito Tlatelolco.
Okay. So we'll check with him. Yeah, that is interesting, and we have been hearing that. And I know that the governor had proposed some kind of sliding scale, the 25%. And it's funny because when she came out with that proposal, I think this was a few weeks ago, I got a lot of messages on my WhatsApp where people were like, "Hey, it's supposed to be 25% it's supposed to be double time." So I think we're gonna try and track this one down for you guys.
Yes, sir. I think a lot of it just has to do with the huge amount of money that would be paid out in the event something like that. I mean, it would be for this long of an event. This is pretty. It's going to be pretty expensive.
Yeah, but that's something that I believe the federal government would probably have to reimburse. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I don't know the specifics behind all that and all the mechanisms behind the scene. I'm not really.
It kind of seems like you're scared to say it, Major. Like, you're going to get in trouble with the director. But you're basically saying, in your experience in past disasters, you guys have gotten paid double time. It's not happening now. That's the black and white of it. Facts.
That's the basic right there.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Major. Anything else?
No.
He's like, no. We're good. Thank you, Major. I wish we had a magic wand to just wave away all your problems over there at DOC, but we're waiting on the shipment. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Wash your hands, Major.
I will, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
all right.
Okay.
Man, that's one of my COVID heroes right there.
Yeah.
Major Antone Aguon. I mean, really just a long time a staffer at the Department of Corrections. It's really an example of, administration to administration. We bring in these, political hires to run the show. But, and you guys know in the government, who really knows what's going on? It's